What do you think the teaching focus was for that teacher that who were reading Seed Folk? Of the characters?
And the voice.
Yeah. Yeah.
She kept saying voice. Yeah.
Yeah.
She's trying to build themselves into the character's point of view.
Yeah. Understand it from the character's point of view. Yeah. Connect what is happening in the main theme and connect each character to each other. Would we say that that's a comprehension, understanding the themes of the book? Pardon? Lynn said inference. It is, yeah. Yeah. I think that her main focus was getting the students to understand what they read, and the level of dialogue indicated to me that I think they were understanding. It was a book with a theme.
A bit of a society view, a social sort of understanding of
Yeah.
connections.
What do you think the focus was for the teacher with the elephants text, that group?
Focused on the layout of a information technology.
Yeah.
Features of non-fiction.
The features of non-fiction text. Any other teaching focus that you think she may have had?
What good readers do.
Yeah. Yeah. She talked about what good readers do. Some of it, when I heard her, that part of it, I was thinking about, okay, reading, learning to read. That focusing on what good readers do, focusing on understanding the author and the choices the author had made and a link to writing. At the end, she picked up the little boy Ethan and talked about how he had problem solved on the text. So, do you think there was any other area in comprehension that she was encouraging or working toward?
Yeah, she was trying to work towards that questions the text might answer.
Yes.
She was getting them to start to elicit what parents might answer.
Yeah, questions the text might answer, read with a question in mind, which is a comprehension strategy. I think that I could pick some of her work around and her focus around learning to read and hear, and also reading to learn. Here, what I think I saw, my analysis would be, it was mainly about comprehension, understanding the themes of the text. And that's appropriate because these were students at different stages of learning and development. And we're going to look at another group as well. If I analyse it from the point of view of dialogue, I liked that I saw student to student dialogue, a lot more of that. And here I saw mainly teacher to student. And we'll have a look at what we saw here. But I also saw here the teacher built on when a student made a comment or took it in a direction. I felt that she did note and then she built on what they were saying. That's just my perception.
The students were very involved. Even though it was teacher to student, they were very engaged in that introduction to the text before they read, as they did the walkthrough and looking at the book.
Yeah.
She was accepting of
What they
their
said.
thinking, and so there was that opportunity.
When they made a comment, she built on it. When they asked a question, she did build on it, didn't she? Yeah. So the engagement level was correct. And maybe we're not saying that the teacher to student dialogue was incorrect. It could have been appropriate for that group at that day, at that time. Because she did build the interaction. And I think the teacher the teacher asked a question, student response, and then in relation to that response she asked another question, but we did start to see the students were following the dialogue and building on what had preceded it. So it's not a value judgment around it, it's more like let's analyse the practice and when we would use it, how we would use it or not use it. And then, as Sally was saying, being aware of the closed nature of those questions. Yeah. What do you think about what the students did? What would they come away with after those sessions? What would the learning have been for them, or the strengthening to take into the next learning situation?
Probably be the strategies that good readers use.
Yeah, strategies.
Just praising those good things that they were doing.
Yeah.
And making them that's what we do. And the fact that he looked at the word and goes, he knew it and had
Yeah, he was able to articulate what he did, what the actual problem solving was. Yeah.
Using table of contents.
Yes, understanding the layout of a book, including the table of contents. I thought it was interesting that after the talk through, then there was the discussion about the table of contents instead of doing it first. I thought that was a really interesting approach.
Then she used it too to find out where the elements were in the mud so they could think about their wondering. So
Yeah.
And also leaving them with questions. You know, actually scaffolding it to the point where you're building the question. You know, she had some wonder questions and then said, you know, and so they went on to read the text with
Yeah.
questions in mind.
Yes. So that they were getting the message that reading is about meaning and understanding, and they were looking for things as they read. Yeah. One of the, just something to ask, I thought really interesting question. Two groups I overheard parts of conversation about. Was the second example guided reading? And what was your conversation around that? Do you think the second example of Seed Folk was guided reading?
we had that conversation
Yes.
and we were saying because of the discussion factor.
Yes.
I was
We
saying
thought it was a bit of reciprocal and a bit of guided.
Yeah. It's a good question, and I'm going to leave you with that question in mind because we're going to read something in a moment that I think will answer that for us. Yeah. Or at least give us further insight into it. Okay, we're going to watch the last one now, and we can have a look again. These are students at a different stage of development, and have a look again at what the dialogue is, what we think the teaching purpose is, whether we think it's matched to the students' needs, etc. It's just good to see another example with students even younger.